Major right here. Just real quick, what are some things, after looking at the film, is there anything any facet of the offense that you can point to that was directly responsible for kind of the inconsistency that we saw on Saturday?
There's a lot of things that if you look back and see the inconsistency, we were in way too many 3rd and longs. To be successful, your percentage of conversion on 3rd and 7+ is somewhere realistically around 25–30%. You're not going to convert that as much as you are 3rd and medium. So we were not efficient on 1st and 2nd down. Obviously, we didn't take care of the football. We had some issues with our snaps and the timing of our offense in general. So there was a lot of things, and it was to be spread around. We had some drops, we had some missed assignments. It was what you thought it was. It was a lack of consistency across the board, and then you didn't take care of the football and convert touchdowns in the red zone.
Some of those things you did mention, Major, is that a little bit of a surprise where some of those things you work on in the spring or camp and you get it out? Was there anything that led to why those things were happening? Like snaps and
snaps. We had not had that issue. We've had a few, but not to that extent Saturday. And it's just disruptive to the timing of the run game. It's disruptive to the quarterback's eyes. It's disruptive to where you set your quarterback in the pocket because he's late in his drop. It's the most important exchange in football. I hate to sound cliche, but it's the most important exchange in football, and it starts the entire playoff. And if we can't get it off the launch pad the right way, then it doesn't matter what offense we're running. We're going to have difficulties in a shotgun offense. So, that kind of surprised me. You're going to have, I don't care who you are, you're going to have some drop balls, some errant throws in the passing game. You're going to have some times where the back doesn't quite see the hole right. Those are understandable. But there were some execution errors as well, just in terms of not blocking the right person, in certain schemes. So there was just inconsistencies in our performance, and sometimes it surprises you as a coach, sometimes it doesn't. But the main thing is we need to not worry about fixing the blame so much, just go fix the problem.
Coach, as far as moving on to next week, how do you plan to get the team over this loss, basically, and how do you hope that they react in practice and with everything that's gone on?
Well, that's what I told them yesterday. Is I was really proud of them. There's a lot of ways that game could have gone. There was some frustration at times, certainly in the fourth quarter when you're down 3 scores. But they kept fighting. As a football team, they kept fighting. They kept competing. They found themselves with 20 seconds left. Had we not had a turnover late on special teams, there might have been even more time on the clock. But found themselves with 20 seconds left, kicking an onside kick down by 3. Should have never been in that position to begin with as a team. But they kept fighting. I told them I was very proud of them, very grateful. Sometimes people take that for granted that guys continue to compete, so very grateful that we have a team that has that type of character, and that's in them. We've just got to play better, and we've got to coach better and put our team in a better position to win the game. Their practice yesterday showed me that they were, irritated, pissed off about it, and wanted to go out there and correct some of the mistakes, and same thing with the coaching staff. So had a good practice yesterday, and looking forward to getting back on the field tomorrow.
Major, the difficulty up front the offensive line had as far as, twists and stunts, is that something that they can now we've seen it, now we know what's going on, you can learn from that moving forward, or is that something maybe could potentially lead to personnel changes? They're
going to have to. I mean, they're going to have to. That's what people are going to do. When you've got an offense that's going to throw the football some, you have to put people into coverage. And so when you put people into coverage, you've got to create something to disrupt the offensive line from just setting back on you. So they're going to run games, they're going to run stunts, and we've got to get better, and we've got to develop as an offensive line and get better at those type of things that defenses are going to do. And we've got to understand that we're going to continue to play great football teams because this is a great conference. And so the competition level is going to only continue to rise. So we've got to get better. We've got to focus on those things. We've got to be mindful of them, deliberate in our practice and what we're doing, and understand that that's what people are going to do.
Coach, right here, 2 questions. One, about the special teams, were you satisfied with what you saw Saturday? And also on the defense, moving forward, are you looking for improvement overall or just in certain situations?
Well, special teams, in terms of our kick coverage, we, other than having an offsides penalty, there wasn't really anything, taken out on us from a kickoff coverage standpoint. We just hit a field goal, and then we kicked the ball out of bounds. We give them 5 yards, and we have an offsides penalty. Those are things that are, you know, a little bit of nerves from the kicker and being really aggressive to go down there. So we've just got to slow our roll out of our stance from a kickoff return standpoint. We gave our offense great field position and an opportunity to go score. Our punt return team, we can't turn the ball over. And that was a critical part in the game where there was a possession lost and time lost, and we can't turn the football over in that situation. We got to understand in our return units, possession is goal number 1. No penalties because the battle of the field position is goal number 2. Anything on top of that is gravy. And the reality of special teams is if you don't have a disaster, you're usually going to either tie or win the special teams battle. It's the disasters that you want to prevent. You know, the turnovers, the game-changing plays where field position completely flops. Then from a punt team standpoint, there's some details that we have to fix on that. You know, some substitution issues with our punt team, but our punt team did do a good job of going down and covering. Dane did a good job of punting the football, so we just got to continue to improve on that and clean up some small things. Defensively, you know, really fought their guts out. There's some guys that really played hard. Really proud of them, and what we do defensively, there's some, you know, high risk to it, but there's some high reward to it. And with that, there has to be tremendous effort to the football because sometimes you're living on the edge, and you need people to get there. So when you're, you know, when you're betting a bunch, you got to make sure that it's backed by great effort and people are flying to the football. So if this misses, somebody's there to clean up. So, you know, really proud of the way they competed. But at the same time, you know, you can't wipe away 3 or 4 plays. You can't say we played great, but these 3 plays. If we could just exclude those 3 plays count. They count too. So there were some times where we weren't in the right place, didn't use the right technique, weren't lined up correctly, and just kind of, I don't want to say freelance, but just weren't there in time to line up correctly and give ourselves the best opportunity to get people down. And so we missed some tackles and we allowed some explosive plays to happen.
Coach, now that you've seen the tape on the offense, if you have seen the tape on the offense, is there any more takeaways that you're taking away from Allen's performance compared to Postma? Did Postma just add that extra running? Is that why it just seemed like the offense was flowing better?
It's, you know, I don't want to take anything away from Kyle Postma because I love Kyle. And Kyle's done a lot for our football program, and he's going to continue to do a lot for our football program. But when you're down 3 scores, the complexion of the game changes. You change what you're calling on defense. You're not as aggressive. You're playing, you know, 2-man, which means you have 2 safeties deep and everybody else is playing man coverage. So as soon as those receivers start running routes, everybody turns their eyes away from the quarterback, and the quarterback can now start to run. And that's indicative of a 3-score ball game. You didn't see that coverage in the first quarter, in the second quarter. So he made use of that coverage and tucked the ball and ran and did some great things in terms of helping our offense move in that situation. They were more patient as a defense, saying, hey, we've got a 3-score lead with 7.5 minutes left. Let's not lock up and play man-to-man with 1 safety in the middle of the field and give up a cheap one. Let's sit back a little bit and let's let them have to drive the ball down the field. And Kyle did what he was supposed to do. He drove the ball down the field and gave us an opportunity to get back in the game. So it's really, you know, both of them kind of hand in hand. You know, the defense being more in a prevent type mode and then the quarterback taking advantage of that. So that's all I can ask him to do is take whatever the defense gives you. And at that point in time, the defense gave him some quarterback runs, and he made some good decisions with the football as well. Now he still needs, even though we scored on 2 drives, there were still some times in there where there were some balls that were thrown that, you know, hey, you know, that could have been an interception. You know, so we still got to put a priority at the quarterback position of taking care of the football.
With the offense major, have you put a finger or maybe the sense of urgency in terms of coming out in the second half and scoring? I don't believe, other than the 2 late touchdowns there, you guys hadn't scored as an offense in the second half in the previous 2 games. So is there something to that, coming out at halftime, getting off to a fast start, getting some points on the board?
Yeah, I mean every time you step on the field, go score points. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, first quarter, go out on the field to score points. But yeah, disappointed. You know, disappointed coming out of the locker room. I thought our Section 8, which you know, our kickoff coverage team, went right down there, tackled him, I think, at the 21, 22-yard line. Terry Mark made a great play, very physical. Defense held him 3 and out, and then we had, we just didn't move the football.
Coach, after the game, you said that every position is open, just like you guys have always done it. What kind of priority are you placing on the quarterback position, and how are you going to handle that throughout the week? If it is a competition, are you going to give either one, both equal reps, or how's that going to go?
Yeah, you just answered it. We're gonna evaluate the quarterback position like every other position. Every position is always wide open. The moment you tell your football team that this position is locked and shut, then you're discouraging people from committing themselves and practicing hard. All positions are going to be open. Kickers open. Everything is wide open in this program always.
Two questions for you, Coach. I think you've just answered the latter one, but what concerns do you have for Temple, both sides of the football?
You know, from a defensive standpoint, you know, they're going to line up and they're going to run the football. Now, they can still throw the ball. They've got great wide receivers, great speed, quarterback that can deliver the ball, but they're going to do some things differently than what you see in this league typically in terms of spread formations. They'll line up and hammer the ball at you. So you kind of have to switch gears from last week, Texas Tech, to get into more heavier sets and being able to play those in terms of the run game. And then from a offensive standpoint, a really good defense. I mean, they play with great technique. They've got a great defensive line. They've got experience in the secondary. So they do some things defensively, and they continue to play great defense. I know there were some yards and there's some stats that are out there that aren't as flattering, but I can tell you sometimes those stats aren't necessarily what they seem. And their great defense can be a great challenge.
And once again, the quarterback situation, are you just going to address it? I mean, is it something that needs to be addressed, or are you going to?
Yeah, the production at that position was not what it needs to be Saturday, so we're going to always continue to evaluate that position the same way we will wide receiver, defensive line, corners, whoever it is. We're going to evaluate those positions and see how they practice and earn the right to go play.
Major, with the layoff, how did you think De'Aaron King did, and kind of adding to the quarterback? Does his performance, does that allow you some additional options in terms of how you want to use him if he's in that mix, that kind of stuff?
Yes, and he's everything that I've kind of advertised him as in terms of just discipline, explosive, smart, takes great care of the football. So his role will continue to be expanded, and he'll continue to have an opportunity to play quarterback position. And we had a package for him Saturday. We need to expound on that and use it.